welcome back to Play and Trade Guitars. I'm John, that's Zach behind the camera, and this is Play and Trade Guitars, where we play it and trade it. Something a little bit different today. What do you think about putting a Bigsby on a Les Paul? It can scare you thinking that you could put screws into the body of your Les Paul. I'm going to talk to you today about the Vibramate system. This Bigsby is designed to go on a Les Paul without any screw holes. And so we're going to install that, and we're going to A/B this beautiful Les Paul Standard 50s with P90s, beautiful gold top. I'll show you kind of a before and after. At the top, if you're in the market for anything like a Bigsby or a Les Paul or any gear, click to buy new gear using our link. You'll find that pinned in the comments or down in the description. When you buy new gear using our link, you help us make these videos, and in the States, you get fast free shipping, easy payment plans, and makes buying new gear super easy. And Europe, you can use our Thomann link down below too. We're also giving away an American-made Martin acoustic guitar when we hit 100,000 subscribers. To win that guitar, just make sure you're subscribed. Hit subscribe now if you haven't, turn on notifications, and sign up via Gleam. All that's down below. All right, let's get to work putting a Bigsby on this Les Paul. I'm pumped. So what you see here is the Vibramate kit and the Bigsby. This is a B7 Bigsby made for a Les Paul style guitar. And this is all the parts involved. It's actually incredibly simple when you get down to it. This Vibramate, I'll show you, is gonna fit in place of the current tailpiece. And it's just that easy. It's gonna screw in without any additional holes made into the body. So let's get the strings out of the way and get to work on that. All right, we'll go ahead and move this stop piece out of the way because we're not gonna need it here. Another kind of curiosity about a Bigsby is, of course, you're adding a little bit of weight. So why don't we get a pre-weight? Great weight for a Les Paul. This 50 standard comes in at 8 pounds, 6 ounces. We'll call it 8.5 pounds. So I do think if you're putting a Bigsby on a Les Paul, ideally you start somewhere in a lower to mid-level weight because you might be adding a little bit of weight with the Bigsby itself. In fact, I suppose we could measure the weight of the Bigsby itself. 14.5 ounces, so you're just under a pound. So that's actually more than I thought. So the Bigsby planned for it to add just under a pound of weight to your Les Paul. So if you got a 10-pound Les Paul, you're gonna be pushing 11 pounds by the time you put the hardware on. But going from 8.4 pounds to 9.4 pounds, I'm good with that. Still an ideal Les Paul weight, I think. All right, you'll see this all comes together shockingly quickly. So the first thing we need to do is put the Vibramate in. The Vibramate is going to be what allows us to screw the Bigsby onto this Vibramate plate instead of into the body of the guitar, which you can still do, but this will keep you from having to screw it into the wood. So to make that happen, we're going to line this up with where the old posts were. All right, so the game plan here is, of course, these holes in the Vibramate will allow us to screw in the Bigsby like so. And then we just put our end pin piece through and we've got a Bigsby ready to string up. So I'm gonna do that now. I'll leave this a little bit loose so I have some slack to work with while I do the end pin. So from here, you got this little bit and then you got the end pin. Once you get that securely screwed down, we're basically done. It really is basically that quick. I'll go ahead and tighten up these Vibramate screws now. And boom, there it is. I'll go ahead and drop the spring in. And that's it. We got a Bigsby on a Les Paul without putting any holes in the body or damaging the finish in any way. So let's get the strings on there. All right, so we got the Bigsby on there. Installing that was actually shockingly easy, right? And now comes the fun part, restringing a Bigsby. What I like to do is crimp the ball end of the string. I got a set of D'Addario 10-gauge strings. And what I'm gonna do is with that crimped ball end, go underneath the bar, the roller bar. Another thing I kind of like to do is kind of eyeball the length of string that I'm gonna need. So I'll kind of just hold that still for a second, pull this somewhat taut, and then from there, I'll actually tie up the top post first. And then with that in, I can kind of flush everything out here. So under the bar, over the top, and since you've crimped it a little bit, it should grab that. And the trick is just to keep everything tight once you've got it there. And that's why I like to string the top up first so that I can keep all the pressure here and then just start cranking down the string. One by one, just work your way up. All right, there it is. I've got it tuned up. You know, and is it me? Or is this louder? All right, with the Bigsby, we're coming in at 9 pounds, 3 ounces. So we'll call that about 9.2 pounds. Still a great weight for a Les Paul. I think you look out particularly if you can find a Les Paul pre-Bigsby that's around like 8.5 pounds or maybe a little less. But to put you in the territory with the finished Bigsby on here at 9 pounds, 9.2 pounds, I think that's a great weight. So a couple things. I already love just the nice resonance I'm getting out of this. If you're gonna tackle this project, click to buy the Vibramate, the Bigsby using our link. And if you're in the market for a Les Paul, click our link to buy any gear. Remember to buy that new gear using our link. It really helps us make these videos. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What do you think about the idea of having a Bigsby on a Les Paul? Have you tried one? And now we're gonna A/B this. Now we'll plug it in, play it over the same track, give some playing examples with the Bigsby. And I'll see you on the other side for my raw reactions. And you can tell me what you think. Which one do you prefer? Let's plug in and get to work. Saw me use the Vibramate to install the no drill Bigsby on a Les Paul. And if you're interested in this kit or this Les Paul or any gear, click to buy that new gear using our link, but you stuck with me to the end. So I'd like to hear from you. Which do you prefer, a Les Paul with or without a Bigsby? Go ahead and drop a comment and let us know. I'll tell you that the strengths and minuses here, of course, without the Bigsby, you have much more tuning stability. With the Bigsby, you lose the tuning stability. There are fixes for that. You can improve that drastically with things like a roller bridge, which I'm not using right now, but just something to keep in mind. And if you like the wavy sound of kind of the vintage inspired Bigsby kind of mellow tremolo there, it's hard to beat that sound, and it's a lot of fun. It gives you an extra palette of sounds on your already existing Les Paul. And the fact that you don't have to drill holes, if you go through a Bigsby kick for a few months, put it on and then take it back off. Don't lose those parts. And it was super easy. It was easier than I thought to install the Vibramate. And I found that restringing a Bigsby, it can be intimidating, but if you know how to do it, you use those tricks that I showed you, it makes it a lot easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and hand it. I've got to tell you, I like the Bigsby. I love the convenience of this, but I did think tuning stability was a little bit of a struggle. But what I would do is probably in my collection, have at least one Les Paul with a Bigsby on it, just because it gives you just such a cool tone that you can't get otherwise. So I really dug it. I loved this kit. I'll see you on the next video. For Play and Trade Guitars, I'm John. That's Zach behind the camera. Be in it to win it. We're giving away an American-made Martin acoustic guitar when we hit 100,000 subscribers. Use that link to buy any new gear, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time.